During the 15th century, France was at war with England. This war was better known as the 100 Years' War, although the war lasted for a little over a century. Born to Jacques d'Arc and Isabelle Romée, a peasant family, at Domrémy in the Vosges of northeast France, a very simple girl grew up. The girl's parents were very pious.
The girl's father, Jacques d'Arc, owned a small farm. While her brothers helped her father at the farm, she was helping her mother, Isabelle Romée, with the house chores. Isabelle Romée couldn't teach the girl to read or write, but she disciplined her daughter with Catholic teachings, and the girl grew up strong in her faith.
The girl, now in her early teenage years, received repeated visions of Saint Michael the Archangel, Saint Catherine of Alexandria and Saint Margeret the Virgin. These saints reminded her to do good and constantly go to church. They also told her that she would play a role in France that would alter history. The saints claimed that it is God's will that she ought to be a light in the French army.
During her mid-teen years, the girl was consistently asked by the saints to meet the king and persuade him to accept her into his army. During one of their losing battles in a city, the girl told the French army commander that they were going to lose the battle if she was prevented from meeting the king. And so, the girl was allowed to journey with them to meet King Charles of France.
At that time, the king was not very keen on allowing the girl to join his army. However, after putting the girl to several tests and being inspired by her prophecies, he was finally convinced to accept her into the French army. He provided her with a horse and the king gave the girl a sword, but she rejected it, claiming that God wanted to give her another sword which was buried in the ground near the king's castle. The king then followed the girl to the spot where God wanted her to dig a hole to find the sword which God wanted her to use in battle. Halfway digging, they witnessed a glimmer of light. Lo and behold, it was the sword that God wanted the girl to use in her battle against the English.
Having joined their army, the French turned the tides of their battle against the English. However, a time came when voices in her head told her that she would soon be captured by the English in battle. Nevertheless, she continued serving the French army. During her last battle, she had only but a few French soldiers with her. But courageously, she pursued the English and battled with their much greater army and might. In that losing battle, most of the French army soldiers that accompanied her fled away from the battlefield. The girl was then taken prisoner by the English.
After making several unsuccessful escape attempts, the English decided to put the girl on trial. They couldn't execute her for winning the war, but they could impose capital punishment for heresy or sorcery. For several months she was chained in a cell where cruel English guards constantly mocked her. Soon the time came for her trial, and the English judges tried to trick her with difficult theological questions. They asked her if she was in God's grace. The girl could not say yes because no one can claim they knew what God thinks. She also couldn't say no, as she would be condemning herself. The girl replied calmly, "If I'm not in God's grace, may He put me there, and if I am, may God keep me there." She baffled them by her wise answers, but even after her trial, they still cruelly condemned her to burn at the stake. She was charged with heresy and sorcery. They also charged her with dressing up as a boy, a charge which commanded the death penalty to be given.
Just 7 days after her trial, the girl was taken to the execution ground when she was merely 19 years old. She was tied to a pillar at the marketplace. Wearing a white dress, she knelt and prayed for her enemies. She requested for 2 priests to hold a crucifix in front of her for her to look at. As the fire spread, she uttered her last words, "Jesus, Jesus, Jesus," repeatedly asking God to take her away from the earth.
All that remained of the girl's charred body was her heart. Her martyrdom drove most of the English out of France. After 25 years later, the church overturned the charges against her and declared her innocent. In 1920, the heroic girl was canonized a saint by the Roman Catholic Church. She was known as the warrior Maid of France, Joan of Arc.
In the face of your enemies, in the face of harassment, ridicule, and doubt, you held firm in your faith. Even in your abandonment, alone and without friends, you held firm in your faith. Even as you faced your own mortality, you held firm in your faith. I pray that I may be as bold in my beliefs as you, Saint Joan.
I ask that you ride alongside me in my own battles. Help me be mindful that what is worthwhile can be won when I persist. Help me hold firm in my faith. Help me believe in my ability to act well and wisely. Amen.